Hi everyone, I'm Shelly from There's No Place Like Home at redheadmom8.wordpress.com. I see that some people are already here, and I'm glad to see you here. And I just realized now that I never turned the volume down on my computer. We're going to do that now before I start blasting you out. So anyway, can you guys see me here? Because there's a bit of a lag on my computer. So I just want to make sure that you all can see me right here. So can you just leave a message in the chat if you see me talking? Because I don't know. My screen is like frozen. Hi, Mayflower Homeschool. So you can see me. Okay. I don't know. It just must be my computer. I have no idea. That's what happens when you get like the cheapest computer that money can buy. Anyway, so yeah. Queen Peach can see me. Kristen can see me. Okay, good. All right. So while I wait for some people to get here, first of all, I want to point out that I usually will keep my live streams going about an hour. That's usually about how long it is. I'm not sure if I'm going to get to go that long tonight. Usually after or when I do my live streams, my younger kids are up in bed. But tonight, my 5-year-old took a 2-hour nap and didn't wake up until 7. So she's actually out in the dining room right now painting with my 11 and 13-year-old. So we'll see how long, we can keep her occupied for. And we'll keep this going as long as we can. So I just want to say hi to everybody. Mama Bear Meat Party. Julie, hi. Kristen, Queen Peach, Amanda, Kelly Patterson, Christine, Tachi, One Clever Girl. If I missed you, I'm sorry. So anyway, let me just give you a quick update on what's been going on with my channel. All right. So last week in the live stream, I just talked about how like my comments were disabled, and then all of a sudden they had started allowing comments on my newer videos. And so that was nice. And oddly enough, it started with my video that I made that said that YouTube disabled my comments. So that is when all of a sudden they started allowing comments on my new videos. So it allowed comments on that video. It allowed comments still on my live stream from last week, in which I talked about censorship. And then it allowed comments on the 2 homeschooling videos after that. But oddly enough, I woke up the one day and boom, the comments were gone on the 2 homeschooling videos. Now, again, they say this is about protecting children, but my kids were not in my videos. It was just me talking like I am right now. So I just find it funny that they're allowing comments on my video where I talk about them disabling my comments, and they're allowing comments on my video about censorship. But my homeschooling videos have disabled comments. I don't know. I emailed them 2 days ago to see what was going on and still have not heard back. So we'll see what happens. Anyway, so let me see. Mama Bear Meat Party said, I sent an email requesting a 1-on-1 about 2 weeks ago through your website. Are you still doing them? Really? You mean a consultation? Because I didn't get anything. That's odd. Let me know. If for some reason you're not able to get through that website, if you look in the description box below my videos, if you scroll down to the bottom of the description box, I do have my email address in there. I have all of my contact information, like where you can find me on Pinterest, on Facebook, on Twitter, Instagram, like all of those places. And then I do also include my email. So if by chance you would like to do a consultation and for some reason I didn't get that, you can always email me right at my email address that I have down there. Let me see. Okay, yeah, I see. Yes, I can resend if you like. Yeah, and again, if you don't hear back from me, just check in the description box. You know what? I'll just type it right in the chat here too. Okay, so there's that. That'll probably be easier. Anyway, so that's what's been going on with my channel, and I just figured that I would give you an update, and that is not going to be the focus about it because I think I did enough complaining about it last week, and I'm sure that you're all sick of it. So today's topic is actually, yeah, I just saw that now. Hey guys, happy to finally make a live and watching your videos, but no comments. I know it's so frustrating because that is how I interact with you all. And, a lot of people ask me questions and they want advice. And that is the whole reason I started this channel, is because I wanted to help people. And even though, my videos might be able to indirectly help people, I feel that I can better directly help people if I can actually answer their questions. So as of right now, the only thing that we can do is just if you guys would want to head over to Instagram. I know a lot of people don't like to do social media, and this is just like really putting a lot of people out. Um, but for now, I'm just saying to go over to Instagram, and you can even just ask me a question on any of my photos. It doesn't even matter. And just say, I saw this video and I have a question about this. It's fine. I'm totally fine with that. Okay, so let me see. Kristen said Emma likes a channel called Draw with Jazza and Daily Jazza. His kids are in his vids and he has comments and he's like 2 million subs. That's exactly what I'm talking about. And I was talking earlier this week, through email and everything with another YouTuber, much bigger channel than mine, and she said the same thing. She has no comments. And it's just strange that you have some of these other videos with kids and their kids are in every video and comments are fine. And for some reason, it's those of us who's homeschooling and our kids are hardly in any of our videos at all. And we seem to be the ones having the problem. Anyway, so I said I wasn't going to get into that too much today, so I won't. But anyway, today's topic is homeschooling. How much is too much? Because how often have you asked yourself the question, am I doing enough? A lot of people worry about that. Am I doing enough? Am I doing enough? But the thing is that something that I have noticed in our busy world, like everything is about busy, busy, busy. And what I've noticed is that a lot of people, instead of asking, am I doing enough? They need to start asking themselves, am I doing too much? Because I find that's something that's happening a lot. Whether it's because you want to kind of compare yourself with other homeschoolers, whether it's because you want you want to make sure that your kids are on a level with the school children, or whether it's because you are trying to appease family members who might not be happy about homeschooling. A lot of times I've been finding that a lot of us really are trying to squeeze much into our day. So I just wanted to talk about some ways, some signs, first of all, that you might be doing a little too much in your homeschool, and also some ways that you can help yourself to not do that anymore, which is hard because, again, we're living in a society that is all about busyness and all about rushing and all about keeping up with the Joneses, and the thing is that the one thing that I love about homeschooling is that it gives kids the freedom to follow their own interests, to be kids, and to just explore the world, because really those are the ways that kids learn best. So that is like one of the first things that you need to think about when it comes to homeschooling. If you find that your kids are spending, pretty much all day doing their schoolwork, and a lot of times if you have your kids like in all sorts of extracurricular activities, because, extracurricular activities are great to a point, but if you're going completely overboard and they have something like every day, it's almost like time wise, your kids, even though they're homeschooled, aren't really getting the additional time that a lot of homeschoolers get then in comparison to public school kids. You want to make sure that your kids have that free time, that time to be children, that time to explore the things that they want to explore. And you know what? Kids need downtime too, just like adults too. They don't need to be rushing all the time. And I think that that's a problem, in all communities, not just public school, not just homeschooling. Sometimes you're seeing that kids are going so much that they're anxious all the time, they're nervous all the time, because they don't have time to just stop and be kids. So anyway, let me see. And I'm going to read the comments in a few minutes. I just wanted to talk about this a little bit. So actually, you know what? I'm going to read the comments now to see if you guys have any feedback on what I just said. And I'm just going to kind of read the questions that you have here rather than reading every single comment. So if I miss a comment that you wrote, I'm not like ignoring you or anything. I'm just trying to keep it moving a little bit more just by answering the questions. But I'm happy to see everyone that came. And Ann Home Baker, Amanda G, Kara Sue the Dreamer, Nell's granddaughter. Anyway, so can you see me? All right. My kids tell me in their attitude if we do too much. Yes, that is actually one thing that I had written down here. That is another sign that you're doing too much in your homeschool, is if they're being overly cranky. And sometimes it's not just your kids. If you are being overly cranky. And yeah, I actually had a couple days like that the past couple days. It wasn't really so much that I was doing too much in my homeschool, but too much has been going on in my life, like between homeschooling and blogging and vlogging, and then my mom broke her shoulder. So yeah, and I have gotten to the point where I realize that I have to slow down. And kids are the same way. You can tell by their attitude if they just have too much going on. And the thing that you have to remember is that, you don't need to keep piling one thing on top of another in a homeschool in order for it to be effective. The To me, simplicity is the most effective way for your kids to learn. Yes, you want your kids to have those foundational skills of reading and writing, but it is so, so important. Oh, and math. I didn't say math, but it is so, so important that your kids also have the know-how to do their own research, to find answers that they're looking for, to know where to find accurate information, credible information, especially in today's world, because most information we get is not credible. Um, so those are the most important things for your kids to know. And they really don't need to have like 12 different subjects in order to have a good education. The best thing that you can do for your kids is to give them time and to give them resources to know how to go about learning on their own, because then when they actually do graduate homeschool, they have to know that learning doesn't stop. It's something that happens all the time, and it is something that is lifelong. And if they're given the freedom to actually enjoy it, like, that's the thing. You don't want to suck the joy out of your kids learning by piling too much stuff on them all the time. You want your kids to like learning. Now as an adult, I really, really like learning. And that's something that, I can't say was really the case when I was in school, but it's a gift that I want to give to my kids. So anyway, let me just go back to the comments. Um, Let me see. Sashi Bear said, I noticed on one of your vlogs, YouTube made sure it stated the number of the beast views. It would not change. I refreshed and even tried using a different browser. Holy cow, that's awful. Let me see. Brave Writer's channel has been disabled. What is going on? Does she ever even have kids on her channel? I haven't seen it, but that just makes no sense to me. Yeah, so Ann Home Baker, I see Rachel already answered you. Thank you, Rachel. My Instagram name is theirs underscore no place like underscore home. And that is something else that is definitely in the description box below. I do have my Instagram, either the handle or the link in there underneath my video. So you can always find it there too. Let me see. Julie said, I feel like I just do the basics, but I'm feeling burned out this month. And that's really common around like February or March, because we're like, the holidays are over and you're just getting to that home stretch where you're just like, oh my gosh, this is if you take breaks. You're just like, oh, I'm really looking forward to my break. And that's actually why a lot of times you'll see bloggers come out with their burnout posts in February, because that is the most likely month for it to happen. And it's true, because I wrote a post about burnout on my blog, and then I also wrote a post about burnout for iHomeschool Network too, and they both came out in February, because yeah, this is the time of year that people really do get burned out. And if you're finding that happens, take a break. Taking a break doesn't mean that your kids aren't learning. It doesn't mean that you can't count it as a day of school. Take them to the park, or have a movie day, or have a craft day. Do some nature studies, shake things up a bit for a week or two, and just do different things that you don't normally do. Get out in the sun when there is sun, right? It's raining today here, but when there's sun, get out there, get that vitamin D, breathe some fresh air, and, take advantage of the warmer days that are coming now. That is like the best remedy for feeling like this, at least, in my experience. So let me see. Kristen said homeschooling isn't a liberal or conservative thing anymore. It's not lining people's pockets enough. Hold on a second. Um, and that's true. And I wish that I could remember who said it, but somebody pointed out on Instagram that I think one thing that they don't like, when I say they, I'm talking about like social media platforms and everything, about like homeschooling and homesteading and all of those things, is freedom, because it's something that is taking people away from the norm. And that norm is something that the the mainstream society, they want you to think that that's the route that you want to take. That is the way that is the most financially lucrative. That is the way that makes you the most, the easiest to control. So yeah, I think that is one reason that homeschooling and homesteading and a lot of other topics are being targeted, is because no, they don't want you to leave the flock. They want you to stay with everyone else. Yes, London. My daughter's here. Oh, my daughter, she made me a picture. See? Thank you, London. Kenzie, are you still painting? Go paint me a picture. Okay, anyway. So, let me see. Did you make that? Okay, my 5-year-old, is this a butterfly? Yes. Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you, Kenzie. Let me see. Homeschool Mama of 11 said my attitude shows it too. Yep. Let me see. Kelly. Thank you. Kelly said, I'm sorry about your mom. Thank you. I think I mentioned she's 84. And now we did have some good news. We thought that she was going to have shoulder reconstruction. That's what they were originally saying. But then she saw the specialist on Monday. Oh, I have another painting now. Thank you, Bailey. I'll show this in a minute. So very nice. So she saw the specialist on Monday. They're now saying physical therapy, which is good, but it's hard. She really can't do anything by herself. And my brother, who she lives with, he's big into like anime and anime conventions. And it's funny because my brother is 62 years old, but he loves like anime and anime conventions. He goes to birthday parties and he dresses like as Gandalf and as like Dumbledore and all of these things. And that's where he is right now. He's at an anime convention this weekend. And so right now, today, my mom is by herself, although I think my niece might be there now. So some of my kids will be spending the weekend with her. But yeah, she's a little down in the dumps because she can't really do anything. Anyway, thank you for asking though. Yes, and my daughter too. Yesterday, I had my 14-year-old daughter at the ER because she threw a stick at the park 2 days ago, and her shoulder like went out of the socket and then went back in, and then it was killing her yesterday. So I took her to the ER, and thankfully with her, it's just a muscle strain. So I just told her she was trying to be like grandma. Always something. There's always something going on. Okay. Anyway, I just saw a question from Mama Bear. Hold on. Sorry. Okay, Mama Bear Meat Party said, do you do a certain number of subjects per day week? I worry because between what the law says, Bible studies, etc., they do 8 different subjects per day. Well, I'm not sure what state you live in and what the laws are like there. Here in Pennsylvania, they tell us what subjects we have to cover, but they don't say, like, the law does not stipulate that they all have to be done every single day. So what I usually do for a school day is we will do like Bible study, read aloud. And I have to say, first of all, that I don't really go by subjects here. This isn't like, you won't see on my whiteboard written like, language arts, math, science, social studies, because we're like unit studies and relaxed homeschoolers and read alouds. We kind of integrate everything together. But like what our day will typically look like is Bible, and then read aloud. And then depending on what that read aloud is, it can cover lots of subjects. Like we're reading Throne of Fire for one of our read alouds right now. And that in itself covers geography, ancient history, Egyptian mythology, and there's even some science in there depending on the sorts of things that you're reading about that day. Then after that, we usually do a unit study together, usually 2 unit study activities. And then the kids, in addition to that, will have math, spelling, cursive, silent reading. Am I missing something? Oh, and some form of notebooking. And then they do like flashcards with each other. And that's our homeschool day. Because again, I'm really into just letting my kids do hands-on learning, interest-led learning. I want them to do things that interest them because I know that those are the things that are going to stick with them. So I hope that people, I was going to say persons. I shouldn't be teaching grammar to my kids, but I'm not one of those people who like breaks everything down into subjects. We kind of do it in a more cohesive way. Um, Let me see. Homeschool mom of 11 said, I was up most of the night with a teething toddler. Oh, that's awful. Plus 20 weeks pregnant. I didn't know that. We did a life skills day. Yeah, we have a life skills day once a week. We do life skills and then they do nature study that day. That's the day I go grocery shopping. That's why we do it that way, so that it's not stressful, because grocery shopping is like a 2 or 3 hour event here. Um, Let me see. Homeschooling with the smiles that I've been so convicted of this lately. They have years of educational opportunities ahead of them. What's the rush and what's the point of cramming their heads full of information? That's the thing. Your kids, they don't need to learn snippets of 18 different subjects. It is so much better for your kids to just condense that down into far fewer topics, but let them, learn deeply about those things. Let them really have some intensive learning about those topics, because in that intensive learning, they are branching out to other topics. Because if you are learning, doing a really intense study, say, for example, on marsupials, they're not just going to be learning about marsupials. They're going to be learning about Australia. They're likely to be learning about the culture there, maybe the Aborigines. They'll be learning about the vegetation there, the climate, the oceans around it, the Great Barrier Reef. It just one topic, if you study it really deeply, will cover so much more than what you originally thought you were going to study. Let me see. Tips for high school. Is that what you're asking? Ann Home Baker, it says tips for high. Do you mean high school? Okay. Oh, high school part-time homeschooling tips for parents. Thinking about it. Okay. Part-time homeschooling, do you mean like, I'm talking to Ann Home Baker. When you say part-time homeschooling, do you mean like sending the school part-time? Or if you can just clarify that, I'll probably be able to answer your question better. Kara Sue the Dreamer said, I believe in involving children in curriculum planning as much as possible. One idea I had was having a discussion between you and your kids about what they would like to learn about. Yeah, that's actually something that we do. I will a lot of times will sit down and ask them to write a list, especially my high schoolers. I'll ask them to write a list of things that they are interested in learning about. And I make it a point of telling them, look, this does not have to be topics that you think would be covered in a school. It's anything that you want to learn about. Like, for example, my daughter, who's 17 now, back when she was 12, she was really she wanted to learn how to make her own makeup and face cream and stuff like that. And for the longest time, that's what she was doing. She was making homemade makeup and face cream, and she learned a lot by doing that. So, when you homeschool, you can really let your kids think outside the box. They don't need to just stick to those subjects that would be in a textbook. Let them learn about anything, because you can find value in any topic. Kelly said, I get worried about socialization. I'm going to be honest, like, my kids used to be in school, and part of the reason that I homeschool is because of socialization. Now, I don't know if it's like this in every school district. I'm sure that there are bad eggs in every school district, but what I noticed here where we are is that every school district. But what I noticed here where we are is that there's some good kids in the schools. There are a lot of kids who are really bad influences on the kids, and the problem is that the teachers, their hands are tied. They are not allowed to discipline these students. It's like one teacher with 30 kids. It's like one teacher with 30 kids. And when you've got one kid with, say, 15 unruly kids and 15 kids who want to learn, it's not good. When my daughter was in second grade, there was a little boy who used to beat up the teacher. He threw a desk and hit my daughter on the leg. He used to beat up the teacher. He threw a desk and hit my daughter on the leg with it. And I have seen, the things that go on in schools from when my kids were there. So socialization is something that I no longer worry about, because just there's Israel Wayne. He wrote a book called Education, Does God Have an Opinion? And he used a comparison of like what will happen. He used a comparison of like what will happen, for example, if you have now I'm going to say potatoes. I think he might have said apples, but I'm going to say potatoes. If you have a bag of like rotten potatoes and you throw a good potato in there, what's going to happen? Is that good potato going to turn all the other potatoes in? Is that good potato going to turn all the other potatoes good? Or are those bad potatoes gonna turn the other potato bad? And that is really what happens. So yeah, I've got a lot of opinions about socialization just from my own experience. And the thing is that this whole idea that we have about socialization, about how it's better for kids to socialization, about how it's better for kids to always be with kids their own age in a classroom. The fact is that how many times has a teacher said to the students, "You're not here to socialize." So they're not supposed to talk to each other. And if you look at the classroom, again, it's a classroom of like 25 to 30 kids, all the same age. That does not in any way, shape, or form mirror real life. That is never going to happen again. Once you graduate school, your child, or not, once you graduate school, your child, or not once your child graduates school, your child will never again be in a situation like that where they're only with people their own age from their own neighborhood. It doesn't happen. So that socialization that we think happens in school, it has no socialization that we think happens in school. It has no it has it, no, it doesn't look anything at all like real life. Real socialization is about being with people of all ages and interacting with people in all sorts of places, and not just in a classroom where again they're not really even supposed to be talking to each other. So anyway, let me see. Laura H said, "What age do you start a serious homeschool routine?" Well, like I said, I am a relaxed homeschooler. So if by serious homeschool routine you mean like 5 or 6 hours of homeschooling a day, it doesn't happen here. We just really, even my older kids, like my middles, I call them, they will spend like 2.5 hours of doing school, because I again I self-directed learning. I'm all about self-directed learning, but I do start to add on a little bit of a more filled structure. I'm not even talking right. I start adding more things in once my kids turn around 8 or 9 years old, depending on their ability. So, like when they're littles, when they are 5 or 7 years old, I will just mainly stick to things like phonics and reading, math, and then just do a couple unit study activities a week. When they get to be around 8 or 9 years old, or when they are really, are really able to read well and are at least able to write a little bit by themselves, that is when I will start adding in notebooking, and I will start adding in cursive, and I will start adding in a little more detailed unit study activities. So that is around when we do it. But again, you're not ever going to come here and see us doing a 5 or 6 hour homeschool day. I've been there and done that. And that's how I used to do it. And I can guarantee that my kids are learning more now than they did then, because all I did back then was bore them to death. Let me see. Julie, you're taking a break next week. Hey, we don't get one again until April. That's when our next break is. We're going to have a 1-week break then. Ann Home Baker said, Washington State Public Schools does not count homeschooling for credits, only from institutions. Really? Wow, that's surprising, because here in Pennsylvania, it's pretty strict, and even us, like what they do in homeschooling, it counts as credits, and our evaluator issued diplomas are equivalent to to all other high school diplomas. That's really surprising. Um, let's see. Let me see. Oh, hey guys, they like your pictures. Sorry, I'm like really far behind. I'm just trying to answer everyone's questions here. I like totally lost where I'm at. Yes, Kristen said your Santa looking brother. Emma loved the pictures at Christmas time. Yes, my brother also plays Santa Claus. And yes, it was him. He also plays Uncle Iroh for anybody who watches Avatar. He's like really big. It's funny because my daughter, who's 19 now, she came up to me the one day and she was like, Mom, I saw Uncle Jerry on Tumblr. And he's like really popular. They actually invite him to these conventions. So it's pretty funny. My brother's a big deal in the anime community. Let me see. Sashi Bear said, my daughter will be 4 this year. When will be a good time to start homeschooling? Is preschool necessary? I always say preschool is not necessary. Kids who are 4, play is their learning. It really is. Now, if you find your 4-year-old saying, hey, Mom, I want to do school, you might want to go out and get like a couple workbooks, even like at the dollar store. But it's not something that I think that you should expect them to do every single day, just when they ask, because 4-year-olds are really, really pushed into doing things that they are not developmentally ready for nowadays. And I honestly think that's why there are so many kids who have problems with reading, because it's something that's pushed on them before they are actually ready. So for me, I say that no, preschool is not necessary. Your kids are learning best through life and play and through imitating the older people in their family at that time. Are you going to one this weekend? Karis, where's it at? I'm just wondering if that's the same one that my brother's at, because he's going to be like working a table or something at it. Let me see. Okay, Nicole M said, are you still using CONUS for your 2-unit study activities each day? I was, but right now I'm doing the Beautiful Feet books, Ancient History. I'm doing a review of that right now. So that's what we're doing right now we're learning about ancient Mesopotamia. So, and that's usually what I do throughout the year anyway. I will do CONUS, and then after a unit is done in CONUS, I will go to Beautiful Feet books. And I kind of go back and forth because I love those 2 resources so much. But yeah, we're doing Beautiful Feet books right now, not because I've gotten rid of CONUS, but just because I'm doing this review and I was happy to get it, because if you guys haven't tried Beautiful Feet books, and if you are really into like literature-based learning, it is amazing. Let me see. A Quiver of 2 said, we switch things up a lot to help avoid burnout. I also don't really follow lesson plans either. I'm really excited to start notebooking more in all subjects. Yeah, I think notebooking is like the best thing that happened to us. Let me see. Emma said, would love to hear suggestions for kids in high school. It seems between college admission requirements and SAT prep, just so much to cover. It's hard to ease up on the work. And you know, I have a few videos on high school here on my channel, and I'll try to link to those after this video is done, so that it'll probably be up tomorrow, that if you check back here, I'll have the links for my high school videos. But what I really want to say is that I thought the same thing. I was like freaking out when I graduated my oldest homeschooler. My oldest son graduated from high school, public school, because he was homeschooled for 9th and 10th grade. That was when we first started. I burned out because, again, I was doing school for 5 or 6 hours a day. I burned out and sent my kids back to school for 2 years. That was when he graduated. So then when my second child, my daughter, she was my first homeschool graduate. And yeah, I was doing the same thing. I was freaking out, thinking about college, and I had never done this before. And then she got a job her senior year, and a lot of the things that I had planned for her to do curriculum-wise did not happen because she was working so much, and I was always after her. Now, I have to point out that she had already had all of her credits done. Technically, she only needed a credit in English yet, because English needs 4 credits here, and all the other subjects are 3. And so she had already done 3 years of the other things. But I was still having her do those other subjects, just because I didn't want to have her homeschool day be just English and nothing else. But anyway, she wasn't getting the stuff done that I had planned for her to do, and I was like flipping out, and I was always after her, and I was like, Devin, you're not getting your work done. Did you do this? Did you do this? And she would be like, Mom, don't worry about it. Well, it turned out she was right, because in the end she learned so much more from being out there in the world, working at her job, interacting with other people, and you know she just picked up more from that than any curriculum I could have possibly set in front of her. So what ended up happening was she wanted to do the community college route and then transfer after 2 years. So she had to take a placement test for college. And she was a little worried about the placement test because she had kind of backed off of her schoolwork a lot that senior year because she was working so much. And so what she did for a couple days before her scheduled placement test, she just went on the computer, especially math. She was really worried about math. And so what ended up happening was that she she studied math for like 2 days and tried to really get like the equations in her head and everything. She went and took the placement test for college, and she ended up doing awesome. Like, she thought that she was going to get on math. She thought she was going to score where you have to take a class in community college, but you don't actually get a credit for it because it was like that bad. She thought that's where she was going to be. She actually scored, like, I think that's considered math 100, and she scored for math 105. So she did. Sorry, are you there? Oh my gosh. I got disconnected for a couple minutes. So, not a couple minutes, a couple seconds. Hopefully, I'm not going to like lose all of you in a few minutes. I don't know what happened. But anyway, so she took the placement test and she ended up doing better than the kids that were actually in school. So her friends that went to public school, she scored better than they did. So anyway, I'm guessing that I'm probably going to miss a lot of you right now. Hold on. Just going to let you know that I'm still here. And now it's taking away my chat. So many issues today. So, hold on. Now my chat is gone. I don't know what is going on here. You're back? Hold on. Let me see if you're all still here. Wow. I've never had this many problems. All right. Okay. Anyway, so let's go back to the questions. I don't know what that was all about, really. Okay. Do homeschool high school have to get GEDs? Do districts not accepting homeschooling for credits? Every state is different. I have never heard of a state not accepting homeschooling credits. Homeschooling is legal in every single state. So if there is a district who's not accepting homeschooling credits, I am going to guess that maybe they're overstepping their boundaries, because if homeschooling is legal in all 50 states, that shouldn't be an issue. They should definitely be accepting those credits. Let me see. Oh, Kristen said that HSLDA has a diploma kit. Anyway, HSLDA is Homeschool Legal Defense Association. It's a place that we can all homeschoolers can kind of get reassurance, because they're like our legal counsel. They're the ones that step in for like all of these states right now that are trying to infringe on homeschooling rights. They're the ones that kind of step in and are like, no, 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 no. And they're also really good to have for, like, if your school district is giving you a hard time and they shouldn't be, you can call HSLDA, and again, they'll step in and they'll tell your school district, no, that's not what your law says. And so I would really recommend HSLDA to any homeschooler. It is really reassuring to know that you have that in case you need it. Let me see. Okay, Kristen said when Emma was 4, she was learning so much and I didn't even realize it. I saw learning as your typical preschool things. Yet I had a 4-year-old with exceptional mechanical abilities that were ignored. That's something that I really find happens nowadays, is that we only tend to look at learning as those things that fit inside the school box, and your kids might be doing amazing things, absolutely amazing, that just they're just not things that they would do in school. So a lot of times we overlook that, and we don't recognize the talents that our kids have just because they don't look like something that you would find, in a textbook or on a report card or in a classroom setting. So anyway, let me see. Um, Sorry, I just want to read through these right now. Okay, Laura said, I have a 4-year-old. I'm stressing about telling people I'm going to homeschool. I don't have a teaching routine. We read books and play. We do workbooks here and there. I listen to you and know I should relax. Yeah, your 4-year-old, honestly, she doesn't need to be doing school. If she wants to, she absolutely can. But I think that is going back to, we as homeschooling parents, we kind of need to put blinders on when it comes to other people constantly putting their expectations of what education is supposed to look like on us, because those people who try to impose their own views of what education should look like, they know nothing about homeschooling. And I think that someone pointed that out the other day. They said it's so funny when people who know nothing about homeschooling try to tell you, the homeschooling parent, how to homeschool. And it's true. It's just something that we need to just stop worrying about what other people think, because our primary focus has to be on our kids and their needs. And everyone else, they can just adjust to us. That's how I feel about it. Okay, B. Evans said, notebooking has saved our homeschool. Thanks to your notebooking videos, it's given me the confidence to make the change, and has worked wonders for my kiddos. I'm so glad to hear that. I'm so happy to hear that. Laura said, my friend told me today that the class she was subbing for was so horrible. She wrote a note to the teacher telling her what happened during the day. They were swearing, hitting, and yelling. Yeah, that's mainly what happens. When my oldest son, when he was in high school for those 2 years that he went back and graduated, he was telling me that his science class that he was in, the teacher had pretty much given up on teaching. He just didn't even bother teaching anymore, because the kids in his class, the girls would be like braiding each other's hair and like doing their nails. The boys would be listening to music on their iPods and stuff. No one would be paying attention at all. So for most of my sons, I don't remember if it was 11th or 12th grade, most of that year for science, his teacher literally sat at the front of the room at the desk, did nothing, and my son got an A in that class. He didn't do anything. He never had to do anything for science. The teacher gave up, just gave out A's. And it's really sad. And that's why I think a lot of times we homeschoolers, we try so hard to prove ourselves that we're as good as the school districts, but you've got stuff like that going on. So a lot of times I tell people, look, there's no way that your child can possibly be doing worse than what a lot of these schools are doing right now. Let me see. Okay, one clever girl said HSLDA sent me an email today regarding the state of Illinois lowering the compulsory school age to 5, with the ultimate goal being age 3. I saw that. A friend of mine actually tagged me in a comment on that. And now I'm not in Illinois, but that's awful. That is absolutely awful. And it's just, I see it happening. I really do. I think that it's going to come to a point that HSLDA is going to be able to fend these people off for a while, but I think that ultimately that it's going to happen. They're just really pushing. They have an agenda, and I think that a lot of these places, they're going to make sure that it happens. They want our kids for as long as they can possibly have them. Let's see. Okay, so Dawn Wade asked for unit study activity-based math suggestions. Do you mean like a whole unit study based on a math topic, or just some math ideas? Like, for example, for a unit study that includes math, like say if you are learning about, trying to think. If you're learning about doing a geography unit study, you could have your kids, calculate how many miles it is from your house to, like say, I don't know, a store, or you could have them convert, say, miles to kilometers. You could do things like that. Um, oh, I wish that I'm like, I can't think right now. I have like all these ideas. But, and then for younger kids, you could have them do just like basic addition and math problems. Like if you're learning about animals, you could tell them, you know, if one tiger has 13 stripes and the other one has 16 stripes, how many stripes do they have altogether? How many more does tiger B have to tiger A? It's just those sorts of things. Other great unit study math activities are like cooking and baking. I think that it's something that's often overlooked, but if especially if you're like doubling a recipe, or if you're cutting a recipe in half, your kids are learning those fractions, but they're learning them in a way that is going to be more interactive for them, and it's going to be able to be understood by them a little bit better, I think, because there's going to be a purpose. You know, this is why they have to know these fractions, why they have to know how to double it, you know. And if you have, say, for example, if you need 2.5 cups, that you need to add 2.5 cups of milk to something, and you only have, you know, like a half cup measuring cup, you can't find the rest or something. Well, how many half cup measuring cups are you going to need for 2.5 cups? So those sorts of things. Um, Let me see. Um, okay, Crystal said, I have a 4-year-old, and last year, when people would ask if she was going to school, I would just say no. She proudly tells people they are homeschooled, though. I love that. And it's funny, you know, like years ago, we used to have cashiers all the time saying to our kids, you know, like, oh, no school today and things like that. People don't really say stuff like that to us anymore. And it's not because it's the same cashiers, because a lot of times it's different cashiers. I just think that honestly, homeschooling is starting to be more mainstream. Um, I also think that because cyber schooling is also something, I'm pretty there's more kids who cyber school than homeschool. And I think it's just at the point now where people are more used to seeing kids at home during the school day, which I think is good, because for the longest time it was almost like people would regard any kids that they saw outside during school hours as delinquents, and that's just not the case. Um, Let me see. Is your video still jumpy, guys? I'm just wondering that, because I noticed that in the beginning of the video, and I thought again that it was just like my connection here. Yeah, I'm like way back here. Um, oh, okay. Yeah, I see Karasu. Which one? Yeah, that's not the one that my brother's at. I think his is up maybe in New England somewhere. Um, oh, Dawn, you did your first lap book. How did that go? Did you like that? Kristen, we're stuck on long division. Emma would rather shut her head in a door. Long division was pretty bad with some of my kids too. I have to say that Becca math has been awesome with my daughter. My 8-year-old, no, she's 9. I don't even know how old my kids are. My 9-year-old is doing Becca math for 3rd grade, and she's doing long division, and she is pretty good at it. It explains it really well. So I do like Becca math in the early years. I think it's fantastic at explaining things in an easy way. Um, let's see. Oh, the video is fine now. Okay. All right. Well, that's good. Um, Born to Book, we just switched teaching textbooks and love it. They offer free trials too. Yeah, we did. We actually did the free trial of teaching textbooks. My kids are so used to CTC math. My older kids, like my kids who are, I usually start CTC math in 4th grade. We do a Becca before that, and then CTC in 4th grade. And so my kids who are doing CTC math are so used to that now, because there are only like 10 problems in each segment, and teaching textbooks to them just seemed like it was too long. It seems like a great program, but I said I'm not going to give up CTC math if it's working for my kids. And my kids are such wiggle worms, and they really are the type of kids that after like 15 minutes their mind starts drifting, and I know they're not going to retain anything anyway. So yeah, for us, CTC for like 4th grade and up is phenomenal. Um, all right. Um, Okay, Pamela Jensen said, "How can I follow you instead? How can I follow you live instead of on YouTube?" Um, well, like my live videos only come here on YouTube. I have social media accounts like at Instagram and Twitter, and I'm even on like Gab, and I'm on BitChute actually. That's another video website. It's kind of like, well, it is like YouTube, but it's like a free speech platform where they say that they are not going to censor free speech at all there. So I'm on BitChute also, but I don't do like live videos or anything there. I don't even know if they have that capability yet. But I do have all of my links in the description box below of where you can follow me at. Um, Allison Kaufman said, "How do you talk to your Christian friends about homeschooling and the dangers of public school when they have chosen public schooling?" Well, I'm going to be honest. I don't like go up and just kind of start talking to them about it. If they would mention something to me, then I would bring it up. But I don't want to seem like too pushy about it. Like I don't want to go up and kind of seem accusatory to them. So very often what I will do is just actually last week, no, it wasn't last week, a few weeks ago at church, I actually recommended Vodi Bachum's video or his talk, Children of Caesar. And I was telling some people at church, I was like, "Hey, did you ever hear of Vodi Bachum?" And they were like, "No." And then some of them were like, "Yeah, they heard of him." And I was like, "You need to go on YouTube and look up the talk Children of Caesar." And yeah, that's he really gets into why Christian children should not be in public schools. Just really solid scriptural foundations. So that's one way, but I don't ever like go up and just kind of talk to them about it. But yeah, I have recommended that video like, "Oh, you should watch this." So they haven't said anything to me, so I don't know if they watched it or not. Um, let's see. Um, okay, Allison said, "I'm afraid that we still won't remain friends. I want to warn them about all the dangers. I'm feeling like I can't relate anymore." I'm starting to feel like that too. I was saying to someone earlier today, a friend of mine, she's also a blogger. Um, she she was basically saying that she needs her a tribe, not just of online people, but people in real life. And I think, that's honestly where I'm at right now is that I have an online tribe, but I don't have a tribe in real life. Like that I don't know of any other family anymore that's homeschooling at my church. There used to be a few. I don't know if I'm the only one now or not. And it's really like I don't see anyone in real life anymore that has the same views that I do. I just don't have anyone like-minded to talk to in person. You guys are so valuable to me because you are my tribe. You just don't get how important you are to me. Um, let me see. Cookie Crumb Fun. Claire. I remembered your name, Claire. My 7 children they really like CTC math too. Yes, absolutely. Um, let me see. Oh, Julie already had written Children of Caesar. I'm like too late. Julie beat me to it. Anyway, um, sorry, I just want to keep going. And Rachel said it too. Everybody likes Children of Caesar. And I'm gonna watch it again. I've watched it like 3 or 4 times, and every time that I watch it, I'm like fired up. I'm just fired up about homeschooling every time I watch that. Um, let me see. Liz Smith said, "Do you know much about registering through an umbrella school? I would like to get cut off, but I don't actually. We don't really have umbrella schools here. If we do, I haven't heard of them. I think your best bet would be to maybe look for. I don't know if you're on Facebook. That seems to be the best place to find online groups. Maybe look for a homeschooling group for your state, and you're likely to find someone who goes through umbrella schools. I know that like in Florida they do umbrella schools, and I think like in Colorado they might do umbrella schools, and I'm not sure where else I heard of it. But anyway, yeah, your best bet is to find a homeschooling group for your state. I think they would be the best way for you to get information like that. Um, let me see. Yeah, Liz Smith, I live in PA too, and I'm the only one I know that homeschools. Yeah, I mean, there might be a couple others in my church that still homeschool, but their kids are pretty much younger than most of mine, so I don't really get to see them all that much. But honestly, I don't know anyone that I really see on a regular basis. You know what I mean? Um, Thank you, Julie. Julie said I am her tribe. Thank you. Um, Mrs. Christie said I was so terrified of having my daughter repeat fourth grade math. I didn't know if I was making a mistake. You mean in homeschooling or in regular school? Um, yeah, I see that here. Like everybody, we don't have real life tribes. Why is that? Rachel said Shelly come to Virginia and join Cross and Crown. Everyone at our small church plant homeschools. I follow them on Instagram. That would be awesome. I would love to at least come visit it sometime. Um, Let me see. No, Kristen. Kristen said, I haven't seen Children of Caesar. I live under a rock. You don't. You don't live under a rock. You know, the thing is that people have been talking to me about Children of Caesar for a couple of years now, and I never took the time to actually sit down and watch it. And so then someone mentioned it again. Rachel, it might have even been you on Instagram. I don't even remember. Somebody mentioned it again, and I was like, all right, I'm going to sit down and watch it. And I watched it and like my jaw dropped open and so the next time that I watched it, I had gotten myself a Moleskine journal at Barnes and Noble because I'm a nerd and I like to do stuff like that. And I sat there, I watched it again, except I kept pausing it. Like every time he came up with a scripture reference or every time he said something that I really wanted to remember, I would pause it and I would write it down. It took me like an hour and a half to watch it the second time because I was sitting there taking notes the whole time. Yes, Allison, we should. Absolutely. Because we don't live that far from each other. Um, all right. Okay. Mrs. Chrissy G said homeschooling. I don't think that you would need I don't know what your situation is with your daughter with fourth grade math, but one thing that you need to remember is that there are some countries that don't even start math with kids until they're like 8. So if your daughter had some problems, oh, my daughter's home now. So if you had some problems with fourth grade math with your daughter, I really wouldn't consider holding her back for it because chances are she's going to catch up because most kids are not developmentally ready for most abstract math concepts until they are age 8 and above. So really, if she's in fourth grade, I'm guessing she's like 9 or 10. I think she'll be just fine. Um, Let me see. Sorry, I'm trying to see. Okay, Kelly Patterson said, where do you watch Children of Caesar? If you just search it on YouTube, it's right on YouTube. That's where I found it. And I actually, if you look on my playlists, I have one, I think it's called Things You Need to Research. I think I might have it on there. But or I might have it on my compulsory school playlist. I have it on one of those playlists. I actually have the Children of Caesar on there. Um, Let me see. Somebody said that homeschooling is a sin. Oh my gosh. How is that even the case? Anyway, so I think that I'm going to finish the live stream right now because my 5-year-old has disappeared, and you know what the saying goes, if they're quiet, you'd better find them. So I'm hoping that she's just upstairs with her older siblings. But anyway, how I wish I lived near mommies like Red Hair Mommy. Thank you. I wish I lived near moms like all of you. Again, like I said, I am going to be thankful for this tribe that I have here. Again, you guys, I appreciate you so much. But anyway, yeah, good point, Julie. Like they had schools and Bible times, right? Anyway, so I'm going to finish up this live stream tonight. I will be doing another one it will be the first Thursday of April. I can't believe it's going to be April soon. That's awesome. So yeah, I will see you. What is that, in like 2 weeks? I'm pretty sure. First Thursday in April, I will be here. And I hope to see some of you here as well. I'm not sure what the topic is going to be. But again, remember, if you can't comment on any of my videos, which is likely to happen, best place to find me is on Instagram. Anyway, I hope you all have a great night. Thank you